Hello and welcome back to Dawn Chorus Writes, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction and audio fiction. This is a miraculous fairy tale called Secrets Under the Moon, and it's chapter 6, so I hope you're enjoying it. Make sure you smash that like button, comment down below what you think of it, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes and chapters to come and other little one-shots and everything. And I hope you enjoy. Chapter 6. Cat had, for the first time since his nightmare began, felt like his former self. He had felt like Adrian as Marinette held him in her arms for the briefest of moments. Oh, how she had leant her head against his chest so that he could rest his chin on her. To have their arms wrapped around each other had made the rest fade away. He was back. Only the two of them existed in this world, and his whiskers caught against her hair, making them tickle and itch. How had this become his reality? How does she not fear this new beast side of him, hoping that her beautiful heart might see the man hidden beneath? Was it possible? He had heard her faint sobs as he landed nearby, only wanting to check she was okay and not to intrude. And yet, when he had heard her, how could he not? Wishing he knew what had made her cry. Had it been the attack the night before? Already completing his usual patrol of the streets, he had dropped onto his spot next to her roof, but with no sign of life in her room or the living room below. Cat had gone searching for her, worried that Felix had somehow discovered his frequent trips out of the house to visit his princess. First, he had heard the distinctive sound of at least 2 or 3 of the Howlers, the gang who had loved to torment and was inflicting fear into a new victim. He was ready to step in, but when he had heard her voice followed by that cry for help, something had overtaken him, almost primal, willing him to defend his love, his heart from the evil that would inflict upon her. He had been willing to sacrifice himself for her. But she had saved him back, carried him home, their home. Oh, for a while she was back home, and yet scared of it. He ran on all fours, leaping from roof to roof, wanting to cry out as he headed in no particular direction, and yet suddenly finding himself staring at the lit-up Eiffel Tower and the date where they had discussed their future together. Oh, how was it possible to miss her more now than ever before? To top it off, he had to go and mess it up by adding in that element of the cat, to bring the extra burden of confusion to her, showing that he knew her but couldn't tell her, knowing his princess and how she would react to sudden jolts of information, pushing him away again until she had figured out various elements. How he would normally rub his fingers against her temple if it became too much of a tangled mess. She would sigh at his touch as a chuckle would rumble out of his chest. Not this purring like he was an actual cat, but then that hadn't scared her either. Maybe he should have tried sooner. Why had he waited so long to introduce the idea of them, of their past and possible future? Now it was rushed. Now there was no time, and yet she had agreed to meet with him tomorrow. There wasn't any way around telling her about the past as a couple. She couldn't remember, and he couldn't say. But what if he could show her? Cause her to talk about the memories she does have, and slotting in various elements that would suggest who he might have been there, like the cat, testing out this new-found trust of him, and offer to take her across the rooftops of Paris, and they could stop at selected points. Wow, what was this feeling he had gotten? Hope? Happiness? No, calm down. She hasn't agreed to it yet. There was no guarantee she would see beyond all this. He gestured to himself. Okay. He had a few hours before sunrise to plan the best non-date with the love of his life, hoping to break a curse and allow her to fall in love with him all over again. Okay, how had life ever gotten this complicated? Cat had set up as much as he could before dawn began to rise over the skyline, a signal he needed to retire for the night. If a member of the public saw him roaming the streets in the daytime, he was scared what would happen, how it might affect the magic. He was finally feeling like he was getting closer to breaking it. He wouldn't do anything now to risk it. He landed back into his garden and made his way through the side door, not wanting Tiki to fuss over him again, like she had done last night when he had insisted he'd take her home. No matter how much he could have just sat there by the fire and watched her sleep. Oh, it was all the small gestures he missed the most. The everyday elements you take for granted until it's gone. The golden rays shone through the large kitchen windows, highlighting the old cupboards they still needed to replace, the vintage wallpaper with the random stripes going down they had half torn off, the blue in her dark hair, the apple shape in her cheeks as she smiled, and the curve in her hips as she bopped around the space, whipping up the eggs in her oversized pottery bowl with the letter M in the center, whilst Tiki, using a wooden spoon beside her, sang out part of the duet before placing the coffee pot onto the stove. He had entered the kitchen, half asleep, taking in the scene before him, woken by the smell of brunch and the sound of happiness. Wondering how he had become so lucky, he handed the bowl out of Marinette's arms into Tiki's before scooping up his princess and wished her good morning with a kiss. She had told him she loved him, like it was no big deal. A common confirmation they would say to one another, knowing they would utter the same words if they could to each other of every second of every day. Hearing the words whilst drowning in her ocean eyes. That had happened almost a year ago now. The last Sunday before. He slammed his fist on the worktop, his claws-like hands lit by one of the rays, but it held no warmth. Was that part of the curse too? Forced to live in a house that had lost its heart, and the constant torment of ghosts, reliving elements from the past and unable to let go.
I thought I heard you. Tiki isn't happy you're not resting. Mulu had to bake an extra batch of cookies again just to calm her nerves. How did it go, kid?
There had been a couple of moments where she would
freak out.
Plague laughed.
Yeah, I really shouldn't have phased through the door like that. Might have sent her over the edge.
Was that the sound I heard the other night? You pulled that stunt?
I forgot. But Marinette, being herself?
Plague couldn't help letting out a sigh.
Oh, she just pulled a face and continued at the task at hand. Which is why you should have done all this sooner, like I suggested instead.
Of rushing it now, I know. But, I was scared, Plague. I should have trusted her. I have a chance now. She has agreed to meet me again to talk.
How is that gonna work when you can't tell her anything? We can't.
No, but if I show her, make her live certain elements, and I will add in details.
A loophole? But why not just get her to love you now? Forget the past.
She couldn't love who I am now. No, the past is all I have. So I can show her I was a part of it, that she knew me once. Plague phased his head through various cupboard doors.
And knowing Marinette start to question every single memory of her life and slowly send the girl insane, second guessing everything? Yeah, how could that go wrong? Has Mulo been in my cupboards again?
Plag disappeared into another high-up cupboard, coming back out again, rubbing his belly and smiling. Plag, can you stop thinking about your stomach for once?
Hey, one of the bonuses of being a little black creature, what was it your so-called brother called us? A Kwame? Of whatever we are. I can eat as much cheese as I want, and I don't gain weight.
Plag sniggered.
So if you don't mind me, that is what I'm going to do until you get Marinette to love you and break this curse.
Yeah, well, for that to happen, I need your help to pull off a non-date for tonight. Cat raised his eyebrows at Plag.
Fine. What I'm thinking is a night under the stars. A romantic picnic just for the two of you, made up of entirely of cheese.
Plag laughed, zooming back into the cupboards he just came out of.
Ha ha, Plag.
Apart from the cheese idea, that isn't a bad idea. We could start off in the gardens and then the Louvre. Have a moment looking at the stars. Oh, how I wish she could remember the camping trip with Ali and Nino in the Loire Valley, whispering stories of the stars until the sun came up. But you can't exactly see the stars in Paris, Plag.
That's true. Oh, wait. I have an idea,
Plag said with a mysterious smile that Adrian didn't fully trust, even when he was human. Thank you for listening to chapter 6. Sorry it's a short one. I'm just having a bit of a time restraint at the moment. So I hope you enjoyed it. Chapter 7 will be out over the weekend on Saturday. So I hope you can join us then. Make sure you comment down below what you thought of it. Make sure you smash that like button. And make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on future treats and chapters to come. And I will speak to you soon. Bye.